So good afternoon and welcome everyone here in person and in our virtual audience to the 2025 Matsui Lecture, Lessons from a Lifetime of Public Service, a conversation with former Congresswoman Anna Eshoo. My name is Christine Trost. I'm the director of the Robert T. Matsui Center for Politics and Public Service here at IGS at UC Berkeley. The Matsui Center was founded in 2008 as a living legacy for Robert Matsui, who served in Congress for 26 years representing the Sacramento area. He was beloved by colleagues on both sides of the aisle. He was also renowned for his substantive policy achievements and his bipartisan consensus building. The Matsui Center honors Congressman Matsui's legacy through its commitment to nurturing the next generation of public service leaders. We have many of them in this room today who are part of Matsui Center programs, and I'd like them to just stand and be recognized. Thank you. So we honor Congressman Matsui's legacy by engaging Berkeley undergraduates in a variety of public service internships at local, state, and federal levels of government. We do it by offering fellowships and training and mentorship and research opportunities and experiential learning programs that prepare them for careers in public service. We also hold public events like this one, where we tap into the expertise of dedicated political leaders and encourage dialogue and understanding on critical issues of the day. The Matsui Lectureship was established with the goal of promoting bipartisan discussion. Every year we invite a distinguished former member of Congress to campus. We alternate every year, Republican and Democrat, liberals and conservatives. And we invite them to meet with our students, our faculty, to speak in classes, and to participate in a major public event on critical issues. At a time when the value of the federal government, of higher education, of scientific research, and even public service is being questioned, we could not be more delighted to welcome our 15th Matsui Lecturer, Representative Anna Eshoo, to Berkeley and to the Matsui Center. She is someone who has dedicated her life to public service, to bipartisanship, to addressing the diverse needs of her constituents and nation through government service and groundbreaking legislation. And she was also a colleague of Bob Matsui's, and they served alongside each other for 12 years. So in a moment, another inspirational and dedicated public service leader, Congresswoman Doris O. Matsui, will offer a formal introduction of her friend and colleague. But for now, I just want to thank Representative Eshoo for joining us today, for sharing your advice and wisdom with our students earlier today, and for demonstrating through your distinguished career the power of lawmaking to serve the public, to bring hope and justice and equity to communities in need. Before I invite Congresswoman Matsui up, I would like to briefly introduce Elizabeth Jarvis Shean, who is seated right here. She graciously accepted our invitation to facilitate today's conversation with Representative Eshoo. Liz is a Berkeley graduate.
Go Bears.
We are proud to claim her as our own. She is also Phi Beta Kappa and valedictorian of her political science graduating class. She's a member of...
Just remember, tell my mom.
She's a member of the Matsui Center's advisory committee and a generous supporter of our programs and our students. She also has extensive experience developing and overseeing strategic communications in both the public and the private sector. Currently, she is Chief Corporate Affairs Officer at DoorDash, where she leads the company's global public policy, communications, sustainability, and social impact initiatives for DoorDash and Wolt. Before this, she built and led Airbnb's global public affairs and corporate communications teams, and she's overseen strategic communications at other pioneering companies. She also helped shape and drive research, rapid response, and messaging for both of Barack Obama's presidential campaigns and his White House. We could not be more delighted to have you here with us today. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Jarvis Shean. And now it is my great honor to introduce Congresswoman Doris O. Matsui. Congresswoman Matsui has served in Congress for the past 20 years. She just celebrated her 20th anniversary, representing the Sacramento area, serving as a senior member of the powerful House Energy and Commerce Committee, and the ranking member of the Communications and Technology Subcommittee. She's provided leadership on a host of critical policy issues related to climate and flood protection, innovation, and equity in technology, affordable health care, economic development, clean energy, and much, much more. She's also a Berkeley alum. She was also the force behind the founding of the Matsui Center, and she continues to be a generous supporter and a vital source of leadership, vision, encouragement for the work that we do. She is an absolute champion of the next generation of public service leaders. She believes deeply in the benefits of a truly inclusive democracy and in the need to increase access and create new pathways for our young leaders into federal government especially and into the policymaking sphere. In past years, due to needing to be in Washington to vote for votes in Congress, Representative Matsui has had to join us virtually. This year we got lucky, and we could not be more excited and more grateful to welcome her back to Berkeley for this event. Please join me in welcoming her.
Wow, it is really great to be back here in Berkeley, just driving in from Sacramento. A lot of nostalgia moments here, I must say, and it really is wonderful because it brought me back to the first time I started at Berkeley. I grew up in a very small town in the Central Valley called Dinuba, maybe 5,000 people there. I was the valedictorian there, but there are only 100 people in my class. But I had big dreams, and I had parents who said, "Dream, do what you want to do." And I wanted to come to Berkeley. Now, I don't know why it was Berkeley, but I wanted to come to Berkeley. I guess because I heard so much about it and read about it, all the interesting things that happened at Berkeley. But I'm really glad that I came here, and I'm really glad to be here. It's wonderful to see all of you here, and I've got to tell you, especially because my good friend Anna Eshoo is here, and she's been wonderful. But I want to also thank Christine, who's been wonderful here, and Eric is here. She was here at IGS, and I think Christina was here too. And so I must say, and having Liz Jarvis, who is a Sacramentan herself,
That's right,
to have her here too is absolutely wonderful. And my husband of 5 years, Roger Sant, who is such a supporter of the Matsui Center and everything else that we all believe in too. So we're in sync, which is really great. But I want to thank you very much for the center to having this open discourse, because I think it's really critical in this day and age. I would say it's been a whirlwind start to the year. I think it's been about, 6-7 weeks. Feels like 6-7 years sometimes. And you just have to kind of make sure you build up and just go forward, right? But in a way, because it's been a whirlwind time, that's why discussions and meetings like this are very important. And I will say, as a side, Cal has a special place in my heart. I'm a Cal alum and I'm proud of it. This is where I met my late husband, Bob Matsui. And we were all sitting in some of these chairs over there too. And you think about, and others in the room told us, and the people sitting with us, that we were the next leaders that our country needed. And that inspired us. And if you knew Bob, you knew he had unshakable belief that there was nothing more fulfilling than public service. And he inspired so many to pursue public service, including myself. And through the Matsui Center, I think a little bit of his energy and his commitment stays alive. I do truly love coming back here, the energy here in Berkeley, the hope, the optimism, even, and the concerns. It's a very human place to be, and that's what I love about it. And you know, I love to be here speaking and listening to the students and the people who are in this place and challenging you to build the progress that has occurred here through leadership, engaging with your community, through serving others. And those of you who are taking the time to be here today are the ones who are willing to engage with your peers and the greater world. You know, democratic government can be messy. We know that. Democracy has never been, you know, clean and clear and all of that, because the way it came about. I mean, this was a choice and an experiment that this country made. And it's because of that and the fact that we are always trying new things. You know, serving this community can be challenging, but there is no stepping back or respite from our basic principles. So even when it's tough, even when we don't agree, which is a lot of times, right? Now more than ever, we have to approach this political environment, climate with thoughtfulness, conviction, and strength, and sometimes courage, with the intent to help the most people we possibly can. We must seek a greater understanding of the world around us, and we have to do our best to understand why people feel the way they do. We have to walk in their shoes. And that's really the essence of public service. It's what the country was built upon. It's the diversity of backgrounds, it's not a bad word at all, but also opinions and viewpoints that weave a strong collective fabric. And that's why this annual lecture series, which is between one time Republican, one time Democrat, liberal, conservative, I think it's a place where those kind of discussions have to take place. And I don't know of a better person than the person I'm going to bring up here. Anna Eshoo is not only probably, I think, one of the best legislators I've ever known. She's got the strength and the courage, and she has done things that I can't believe she's done. If you were in her office when she was on the Hill before she retired, came back home, she had maybe 66 bills framed on her wall. 66, of which she was the principal leader. That's just unbelievable. She's the type of person who digs in, talks to people on both sides of the aisle to try to find a pathway, an agreement to move forward. And that's somebody that is, you don't find too many of those anymore. She's not the type, people have the most respect for her, people from the outside and inside. She's not the one to get on cable shows and yammer, yammer, yammer. She's not that type. When she speaks, people listen. And those are the kind of people you want around you. She has been a tireless champion for over 3 decades, I guess, right? Mm-hmm. But not only in her home district in Silicon Valley, but also in this state and this country, and her impact has been also international too. And every single time when Anna Eshoo is involved, you know that this is serious, and she's going to work hard, and you're going to work hard too. We work closely together. We're both on the Energy and Commerce Committee, dealing with many of the similar issues. You know, increase access to health care, fight the climate crisis, tackle the technological challenges of the 21st century. But I must say that you break all of that down on energy and commerce because it's got the greatest jurisdiction of all the committees in the House. You know, we do energy, environment, climate, we do technology, we do healthcare, consumer protection, and it goes on, because these things all touch each other. We don't work in silos. So from increasing cancer treatments to expanding children's health, her accomplishments will have such a lasting effect. When Anna Eshoo decided to leave, everybody wanted to honor her. She probably had more meetings, parties, and everything, and more than anyone else. There was always an invitation, and everybody wanted to go because she touched everybody. She has such an extraordinary career, but she's so good. She's a human being. She's a friend. She's somebody I've known for many years, who probably knows me as well as I maybe know myself. It's kind of scary, right? But Anna knew both Bob and me. And so she understands our common history. And she also understands how important it is for public service to endure. It is this next generation. We need to increase this pipeline. Just like we have to keep the pipeline going for everything else in this country, which is important, whether for science, education, whatever it's for, anything we're doing, the pipeline is important. And public service, I believe, is really critical because it does lift everybody up and bring us together. So anyway, it's my pleasure to introduce to you and bring forward Anna Eshoo, my friend.
Thank you, dear Doris. My goodness. I don't recognize the woman you're talking about.
Oh, come on. I want to say more, actually, but she needed to speak.
Well, this is, I'll just be brief because I know that you want us to start and
we have a special guest, the Chancellor's here.
Oh, and the Chancellor's here.
Oh, there you are.
It's wonderful. Thank you. What an honor to be in your presence and to be on this campus and to be with each one of you. Doris, thank you from the bottom of my heart. So many of the things that Doris was talking about, I picture it as a jewel box, and you open the jewel box and there are all these gems in it. And the friendships. I had the honor of serving with 2 Matsuis. Isn't that something? I mean, that's a gift in and of itself. And we can talk about that. I couldn't agree with Doris more. I'm here today to hear from you. And I want you to know, students, that you inspire me. You inspire us. You are on the threshold of being ambassadors to the future of our country. And public service is a blessing. It's such an important place for people to share what the gifts that have been given to them for the many. That's what it is. It's just a constant form of giving. Some view it more as a place for taking, but in the finest traditions of our country, it's for the many. It's to give. So whatever I can do today to talk about, what my kids would say is the stuff that you did, Mom. It's all for the femtoring and the mentoring of the students here. And it's a great honor and privilege to be on the campus of the University of California, Berkeley. I think you know that I represented Stanford for 32 years, a geographic center of my district. I want you to know that every time I was on the campus, and it was very often, I would say, what a privilege to represent the finest private university in the world. And the chests would all swell, legitimately so, that lives in the shadow of the greatest public university in the world. You know, in the traditions of our framers, who were the original entrepreneurs of our country in terms of their thinking, this is what Berkeley continues. This is what Berkeley continues, and the manifestation is in each one of the students. So with all of that in mind, I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you for inviting me. It's a beautiful honor. Bob Matsui inspired us with everything that he did, really. I always would say to Doris, I picture exactly where he would speak from, what podium he would speak from on the floor. And, you know, as we have a highly uninformed individual speaking about Social Security as a Ponzi scheme, I think of Bob Matsui speaking of Social Security and the trust of generations and the gift that the seniors of our country have given to us for a lifetime, and that they could retire in dignity, and that the disabled in our country and children would be cared for through that system. Which one is the one that's the most attractive? Certainly the Bob Matsui tradition, and it's alive and well here today with Doris and Roger, with all of you, the leadership of the university and this magnificent center. And at the center of the center of the center are the students. So let's get going, okay? All right.
All right, we are going to get going, but very briefly, one last set of quick remarks.
I'll be super quick. Well, not at all. It's a pleasure to see you, Representative Matsui, if I may, Doris and Roger, both, and thank you so much for being part of this. It's great to see everybody here today. We're thrilled that all of you could be here, and obviously we're commemorating a very important advance in Berkeley. This Matsui Center is central to Berkeley's role in educating and inspiring future generations of public service change makers. Doris's comment for public service to endure. I am committed to ensuring that Berkeley and the Matsui Center continue to do this important work. Student interest and enthusiasm for accessing pathways to public service, it's at an all-time high. Students want to understand what is happening at the federal level and how to become agents of change. In these defining moments for our society, make no mistake, there's no better place to become part of the solution than Cal. Thank you very much.
Obviously, go Bears. On that note, thank you to everybody for having us. Really excited to kick off the conversation. You know, the Chancellor talked about things at the federal level, but maybe we could take even a little bit more of a step back, because you've had a career that has spanned the breadth and depth of every kind of public service. You started, in particular, on the Board of Supervisors in San Mateo for 10 years. Can you share a little bit, for these folks who are thinking about getting into public service, thinking about the different places where you can have an impact, the different parts of government that actually are the levers that you want to pull? Was there a reason, was there sort of a formative experience that was like Board of Supervisors, that's where I want to start? Was there something that you had seen happen, or a person you had interacted with who called you to go serve at that level to begin with? And then maybe the second part is, what did you take from that with you then to Congress?
Well, I took everything with me. All of it, all of it. It's a wonderful question. It's great to be here with you. Thank you for what you did to help elect Barack Obama
2 times.
To the presidency of the United States for 2 terms. It was for Doris and myself, what an extraordinary experience with an extraordinary leader. Leadership always matters. My father Daddy always used to say, Anna, pray for great leaders. You know, so here you are. You're who we've prayed for, all right? Two mentors. At the time I was, when there was an opening on the Board of Supervisors in San Mateo County, because an incumbent was had some serious health problems and announced that he wasn't going to seek re-election. I was working for Leo McCarthy. Leo McCarthy at the time was the Speaker of the California legislature. And as I shared with the students earlier today, Leo was a man of extraordinary integrity. I would place that first. But he was also a masterful legislator, and he was this very serious legislator. All speakers aren't, but he certainly was. And so when and I said to the students this morning that, you've heard the saying that the closer you get to someone, the more you see. A lot of times, the more you don't like. With Leo, the closer I got, the more I saw, the more how my respect deepened for him, because he was a man of enormous integrity. So he said to me, Anna, you need to go home, because I was at his San Francisco office. You need to go home and run for the Board of Supervisors. I said, Leo, I don't know how to do that, and I want to stay with you. And he said, no, you belong in elective service. And Nancy Pelosi at the time, we neither one of us ever thought we would run for office. I know people
Was she
have
chair
a
of
hard
the state party at that point?
No, she was. I think she was Northern
Okay.
Party chair. I think she was Northern Party chair. So at any rate, I ran, and it was a huge race, larger than a congressional district. It was the entire county at that time. Not district elections that we have now. And 11 people ran, and it was all year, a full year. Oh my God. Sometimes you can't believe what we already did, So we won. In California, counties are very powerful. And they aren't in many states. In many states, the counties are not. In California, they implement all the federal and state laws. So, now, I wasn't thinking when I went to the Board of Supervisors, I'm going to be elected to the Congress. I mean, it was daunting for me to reach the board and, to master it. But I loved it. I really loved it. Now, remember, you only need 2 other people to agree with you. It's a 5-member board. I was always go for 5, but when you go from 5 to 218, and the Senate and the White House, it's a different story. But because of the substance of the issues, it wasn't just a formula. I knew it on the ground, but also the people and the services, where people went for health care, who took care of them, what was available, how many doctors and nurses were there, what do you do with the toxics in the community, where are you going to build, is the air that we're breathing clean, have dangerous foods been removed from the Safeway's shelves. I mean, it's all of that. So I loved it.
And
I loved it.
You've talked about how the seeds of democracy are planted locally.
Yes.
So given that, and given the sort of the issues that you then articulated, and as Doris talked about, you passed nearly 70 pieces of legislation once you got to Congress. 5 presidents signed it. Were there 2 or 3 issues in particular that you took from your time locally and really getting to know your constituents over those 10 years on the Board of Supervisors that were sort of the core of what you focused on in Congress?
Well, it's like, it's like being asked which one of your children, each one has a great deal of meaning and, and how it was done and what it's done for people. I think the largest ones, because it was an aspiration of many individuals that ran for President of the United States, and that was to have a national health plan. And it was, by the way, some Republicans that ran. Richard Nixon. I I remember having dinner with Senator Kennedy, and I said, Senator, do you have any regrets? And he banged on the table, the dinner table, and he said, you bet I do. I should have taken Dick Nixon's deal on health care. So, I mean, that was a very, very long time ago. So that was a Truman ran on, I mean, moving forward. So for that to have become a reality in the United States of America, it was, I think, 100-year aspiration of the American people, not just those that were running to represent them. And I like to tell the story about constituents that had a hearing in my district, and it was with the disabled, and they kept referring to this lifetime cap, a lifetime cap. I didn't know what it was. So finally I stopped one of them and said, what are you referring to? There's so many of you that have referred to this. I did not know this. Shows you how much we don't know, really. And be humbled by it and then do something with it. That in the finest print of our health insurance policies, if you hit a certain dollar limit, when you did at that time, that was it. No more insurance for the rest of your life. And those of us that had insurance, I didn't know that was in my policy, but in the disabled community and those that need mental health services and parents that have disabled children, they knew it, they lived it day in and day out because of the the sums of money that are needed for their care. So I thought, oh my, this is outrageous. I thought, I didn't know this. I bet you most members of Congress don't even know this. So I went back, I'm telling them, and I told my chairman, John Dingell, my dear, don't you worry, we're going whatever. So they weren't very interested, and the Republicans were not interested because they're not interested in taking on the big insurance companies. But then the Affordable Care came. You see, the Affordable Care Act. And Doris and I were at the original table that set, where the beginnings and the entirety of that bill, with all of its jurisdictions and what we put in it, but at that table. We were like the original, well, like the framers at the table, writing. We were the framers. You see? And so, people think, well, what does the Congress do? And what have you done lately? And whatever. All of those words have walked into the lives of the American people. And it has made their lives so much better. And now, there is the attempt once again, to unravel it, to undo it, to smash it into 1,000 pieces. But you know what's going to happen? The American people are not going to allow it because they know what it is. It's walked into their lives, you see? So, stories are worth telling.
They are.
They really are. They really are. They're powerful, and the lesson is that you can really do very good things. Is it hard? Was it hard to do? As we were walking over that day on the plaza, there were hundreds of people spitting at us, calling us names.
Yeah.
But we had all the determination in the world because we knew what we were embarking on and what we had the power. We used the power that had been given to us to enhance the lives of the American people. So.
One of the things that I think is so striking about your time in Congress was your understanding of what it took to legislate, that it requires compromise, that even with a majority, you probably are going to need votes from people who don't always agree in an era where it feels like things are increasingly polarized and increasingly kind of hard to talk across the aisle, and even increasingly hard to get consensus within one's own party. what are some of the things that the folks here today who are thinking about running for office, who are going to need to reach across the aisle, who are going to need to think about how to compromise, what are some concrete lessons you can share with them of how do you actually get these things done?
By doing it. You have to do it. You have to live it. You have to do it. And it's not, so many times, you may not know the member very well. I mean, there are 434 other people. How many times I would say to Doris during the week, sitting next to her on the floor, is that a member or is that a staffer? Because you don't know everyone by name, or they look familiar but you don't remember their name. It's part and parcel of what we do. It's not some pretty notion that was thought up at one time or another, and it was around for a while, and now that we look over our shoulders, we say, well, it was good to have it, but now we don't. It's part of the ingredients. It's like the yeast, it makes the bread rise. Consensus. And, but if you have, if you put too much salt in a recipe, it ruins it. Well, I don't like salt, so, But, no, you have to do it. You have to be willing to practice it yourself. You're a professional, you know that you have to have partners, you have to engage people that may like your idea, but on both sides of the aisle. I mean, many times it's tough to get Democrats on your bill for whatever reason. But whatever that configuration is and needs to be, as the lead person, if it's your idea, then go out and you've got to get people to appeal to you and, appeal to the idea. What is difficult, what makes it hard is when someone has essentially just about cut your head off the day before in a debate, or insulted you, or done something that is really damaging to the people of your congressional district. You don't want to talk to that person. Most frankly, you don't want to have anything to do with them. But if there's a glimmer of hope
Gotta go talk to them.
that person is going to go on our AI bill that we did. And it took just one person at the end, a senator, that said, you know what, I haven't read it, so I'm putting a hold on it. And the whole thing, a 4-year or 6-year effort, working with Stanford and their human-centered artificial intelligence center, prevented it from being signed into law, getting to the president. So you just have to practice it. You have to practice it. You have to know that that's a part of the work, and look, your heart's going to be broken along the way. I mean, there's so many disappointments, and there are many efforts where the time has just not, the stars are just not aligned. The bill I talked about, the ceiling, and it just didn't take people, for whatever reason. Maybe I didn't explain it well enough or get them excited or whatever, but I couldn't get anything going on either side. And then we did. The time came, see? So you have to stay with tenacity.
I was gonna say, you were dogged in your pursuit of
Tenacity.
that.
If you think you're going to embark on something that's easy and because it's your idea, it's the most brilliant idea that's anyone ever had, I've got news for you. 434 others think they have the most brilliant idea that anyone has ever had. So, try to keep a friend in your voice. And I said to the students this morning, nothing takes the place of relationships, personal relationships. So many people said to me, how did you ever get that done with so-and-so? I said, maybe I remembered when his mother died and called him or stopped by his office. We're all human beings, for heaven's sakes, So, all of those things count. They all count. Yeah.
All right, we're gonna start taking questions from the audience here in a moment. I think Christine's got cards, so if you have a question, put it in there, we'll collect it, read it out. But so sort of jumping off of that, I think in addition to having obviously a lot of folks who might be interested in pursuing elected office here, we've got a lot of folks here in person and hopefully over the live stream who care very passionately about one issue in particular or a set of issues and want to be advocates for that issue. What are the best ways for them to be effective advocating to a member of Congress? And conversely, what are some things that they really should not do because they are, in fact, counterproductive?
Well, I think that, I think stories are very powerful. I mean, they are to each one of us. The story can move a mountain in life, I think. So if you have, not if, everybody has a story, but if you have a particular story, I mean, you know, the advocates, Doris and I know, we see them all the time, traveling across the country to come to Washington, D.C., or to our district offices with their story and saying, I need help with this. And you find something where there's a glitch in the system that we can address without being alleged. You know, you don't have to do pass a law because the power of the office you use for people. So that's a source of inspiration to us, the power of the office, you know, to use it to help people. But I think the stories, whether it's something that has happened in your family, what you've experienced in your local community, that's what gives rise to wanting to run for office and serve in office. So don't be shy about the story, really. But you don't have an hour to tell the member your story, though.
Yes.
Exactly.
Have a great story
Yeah,
and keep it brief.
and keep it brief. Yeah. Not like me,
All right.
telling you stories.
Do we have, speaking of stories or questions, do we have any that anybody wants to share over there with Christine? She's coming down the center of the aisle. You guys can do it. All right. Oh my God. Oh, we've got so many. Okay, hang on. All right, here we go.
Okay.
Now, I hope I can read all your axe murderer handwriting, so hang on. Okay. From your perspective, how has bipartisan work in Congress changed, or how is it not? You know, I've heard you talk about how you felt like there was kind of an inflection point in 1996 with the Gingrich coalition that came in, but as it sort of has spanned your time in Congress.
Well, in my view, and also in the view of two of the really most noted congressional scholars, Norm Ornstein and, help me with the other. What?
Thomas Mann?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, and he was here at Berkeley, yeah. I mean, they wrote extensively on this, that Newt Gingrich poisoned the water in the Congress. I mean, poisoned it, and through many things, you know, but I remember I entered the Congress in the Congress before, so the Democrats were still in the majority and had been for 40 years. Imagine being with a group of people who were so accustomed to the majority. I mean, there was a really clinical depression in that caucus. What did I know? I mean, I'd only been there 2 years, and it seemed all right to me.
Yeah.
But what I was struck by, there's always a handbook that goes out to the entire House of Representatives of the new members, has their picture, their district, something about their picture, and a quote from them. The overwhelming majority said the following: "We came here to burn the place down." So, I mean, that's quite a hi, how are you? You know, I mean, there wasn't one person that I knew that was going to the Congress or a city council chamber or anything else to burn the place down. So it was a completely, it was like the shifting of the plates of the earth, teutonic shift. And it was anything goes. say anything, go to the floor, I mean, it was the, like the courtesies and the, how people would conduct themselves, both in the committees and on the floor, it just kept deteriorating. It kept deteriorating. And although he's been gone for a long time now, that poison remained.
You've also, though, talked about how, in some ways, the sort of the small d democratic nature of Congress has improved. That it's not quite as, as hierarchical as it's been in the past. That there were more opportunities for.
Well, I think
newer
that
voices.
the hierarchy was men.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it was. I mean, they would actually say to the leadership, no, I don't want her, whomever the she was, on my committee. Prevent them going on to, major committees. When Pat Schroeder came to the Congress and she very much wanted to have a seat on the Armed Services Committee because of all the military operations in her congressional district. And she made it to the committee as a member, and on the first day of the committee, they shortchanged by one chair, by one seat. There was no place for her to sit. It was Ron Dellums that said, you could come sit next to me on my chair. But those are the lengths to which, you're not welcome here. So, some of that, a lot of that has diminished. I wonder some days if I would rather go back to some of that, to have a Congress that was actually, really operating. I shouldn't even present the choice because, both should be in place. Yeah.
A couple of questions with kind of similar themes. For example, I know you did a town hall recently with Josh Becker, and one of the things you said was that Democrats need to fight and fight hard, and articulate a set of things that they stand for. One of the questions is, given the current administration that is in place, given the Republican majorities in Congress, do you believe that there's room for compromise? As someone who has talked about the importance of compromise to legislate.
No, there isn't now.
Okay.
No,
So can you talk
I'm
about
not going
that a
to. I would never compromise on Social Security.
Okay.
I would never compromise on Medicare. I'm not going to compromise on Medicaid. I'm not going to compromise on allowing poison to be emitted into the atmosphere and to fill the lungs of children so that they have they can't live a good life. I can't compromise on those things, you see? And if someone thinks I should, then you know what? I don't agree with them. I just don't. These are hard-fought victories that have for the American people. It's made our country stronger and better. There's a morality to this. We don't often use those words, but there is a moral plane. I'm not going to dip down into some form of hell to say, you know what, we compromised, we got along. No on that. And, I was saying to Roger, poor guy, he got such an earful. He no sooner I walked in the room and on him that I'm so disappointed in what Chuck Schumer did.
That's the next question.
You see, no, but you know what? I mean, no one is asking me. I mean, the four most dreaded words from a former member of Congress is, "I have an idea." But seriously, he should have been thinking 6 weeks ago. This CR, continuing resolution. You know why there's a continuing? It's because they didn't do a budget. They didn't do a budget. So they keep carrying forward the numbers from the previous fiscal year. It means that people did not do their work. you're in the majority, that's your responsibility. But they haven't done it, okay? We'll all stipulate to that. They didn't do their work. And they would rather have waited after the elections, too. I mean, there's, layers of politics. We understand that. We're grown-ups. But he should have seen this thing 6 weeks ago and said, look, we are not compromising on Social Security, on Medicare, on Medicaid, all right? You and the president, the White House, guarantee to us that you're not touching it. And then after that, we'll sit down and talk to you. We can have a conversation. But if you don't agree to that, hands off. Hands off. Put them on the defensive. They're in the majority. It's their responsibility to keep the government open. I think maybe Chuck saw that sticker online that said Schumer's shutdown and got nervous.
Yeah.
What the hell? How would you ever let them say to you that I'm responsible for shutting the government down and you're the ones that are in the majority? I mean, I think you can beat people on that any day of the week, right, Dora? Right? Yeah. But you can't wait till the last minute. You got to think, you got to plan, and I just I'm deeply disappointed. But all right, that was a few days ago. You got to keep going. You can't stay by the side of the road. You got to plan the next thing and the thing after that. So, but you see how much is at stake. How much is at stake? And it's not just names of programs. It's all about people. The government is not a for-profit organization. It provides services. We pay taxes, we get services. So.
Taking this in a slightly different direction. I love this because it's somebody who loves local government. You mentioned county supervisors are powerful here in California.
Uh-huh.
Why is that they are less shown in the media, for example, as opposed to, say, mayors in the counties?
Mm-hmm.
Thinking to the fire situation in LA. You have the LA County Board of Supervisors, much less scrutinized in the media relative to Mayor Bass, who really received kind of the lion's share of the backlash.
Mm-hmm. We know her, Doris and I, and
Sure.
she's a very capable woman. She's a very, very fine person. I think it's because people live in their own communities. You live in Berkeley, or you live in Millbrae, or you live in Menlo Park, or, and then you say, well, I represent the county. Well, what's the county? It's more of a, I don't know, people don't think of, the unincorporated areas. People don't think that way. They're thinking about groceries and all that. So I think that it's in the minds of the average citizen in a community, it's ill-defined.
Mm-hmm.
They're not so sure what it is. But in terms of the law and counties and their power in California, they're very important.
Yeah, in some
Very
ways,
important.
for those of you who are thinking about going into public
Yeah.
service, there
It's
are
very
real
important.
levers
Yeah.
that get pulled at the county level that are even different from, say, city council. It's land use planning, the sort of the 25 to 30-year plans. I think about
Right.
those kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Love this question. And if you have more, raise your hands with your cards. Christine will grab them. I'm going to do this with a question that I had. So I think folks probably saw in the news the very sad news that Nita Lowy has passed
Yes.
away. There's an ask. Do you have a story you'd like to share about her? And I'd also love maybe a story about Speaker Pelosi, who you spent so much time with. And I've heard some from her, but I'm excited to maybe hear a couple from you as well.
Well, yesterday was a very sad day. There was an exchange amongst colleagues, Doris being one of them, and someone said, Mike Thompson said, "This is so sad." Someone else said, I thought, what are they talking about? They were sending texts back and forth, but someone used the word Nita. And my heart went down in my shoes, so I Googled it, and I I mean, when I saw her picture, I just, I burst out crying. This is someone that we love. What I want you to, you're probably getting a sense of it. This is not just about being nice about each other. We spend more time with each other than with our own families. And they become, we become family to each other. And, Californians, but it's not just Californians, but certainly in the Californians, because Texas and New York always want the biggest bite of everything. So we have to fight very hard, to protect what Californians deserve to get. Nita was, she was very much a Jewish mother, number one, which right away you feel like you could just kind of put your head on her chest, and that she would coddle you. And Henry Hyde said, "She'll skin you alive. You won't realize it. She'll have a big smile on her face." So she succeeded in being elected to being chairwoman of the House Appropriations Committee. That is all, the entire purse.
Dollar bills, y'all. That
is the entire purse. And no woman in over 200 and some years had ever held that. Yeah, she was the first one. And she knew how to do it. She had two extraordinary lieutenants. And I mean, between the three of them, what a force they were. It was Nita, Nancy, and Nancy Pelosi, and Rosa DeLauro. And I mean, I remember Nita saying, there's such an irony to it, because the reports are that she died of breast cancer. Nobody secured more money to invest in breast cancer. And I remember she said, we need to go and talk to Jack Murtha. Yeah. Jack Murtha was the chairman of the Defense Appropriation Subcommittee. So the entire military and their money was in his committee. And we said, well, why do we need to go and talk to Jack? What the hell are we going to talk to him about? I mean, we've got this mess on our hands, this gigantic challenge. All these women are dying. She said, well, he's got the money.
Yeah.
He's got the money. He's got the military money. So we went in there. And Jack was he was fabulous. And when we started giving out the statistics to him, what was going on in the country in all these communities, he'd have this expression, "I'll be goddamned." Everything was "I'll be goddamned." But that was when he was really taken by something, where it really kind of took his breath away. And he became the biggest supporter. And I remember in my town hall meetings, women saying, why are you getting money out of the Defense Department for breast cancer research and all that? That's where the money is. That's where the money. But that was Nita's genius, And she was kind to everyone. I never heard her say an ill word to anyone. I really don't. Do you, Doris?
No.
No. She was really wonderful. And I traveled with her, which really deepens relationships, going different places in the world. And we knew each other's children. She loved my daughter, Karen. We're extraordinarily sad to lose her. She loved this country, and she served the country so magnificently. We feel the loss.
Thank you for sharing that.
Mm-hmm.
You talked about your grandmother and her love for the country. Was it your grandparents who came over, who immigrated?
And my parents.
And
my parents came as children.
Yeah. I was curious because we're starting to bump up on time, and I want to make sure that we hear from you. Like, as you think about, but your Nana used to pray, and used to say and thank God for bringing her to this country and for the blessing of being in this country. In a time where it feels like there's a lot more cynicism about what it means to be a citizen here, about the promise and the hope that one has. maybe to close us out, for the folks in the audience, especially the young folks in the audience, what would you leave them with as they think about being hopeful to love this country and what they can do to make it a place perhaps that they love even more?
Well, we're all so worried about our country, and in so many ways we can't believe what's taking place, because this has not happened before, what we're experiencing. But the way I view it is, from the time our country was born, every generation of Americans have had enormous challenges. They really have. I mean, we're in an institution of higher learning, so you know the history. You've read so many different chapters. No generation of Americans, no matter how tested they were, ever said, you know what, we're throwing the towel in on this experiment. We can't, and we're not going to. We can't, and we're not going to. Why? Because America is worth it. America is worth it. And I truly believe in I've always believed in this, the goodness and the decency of the American people. It's there. It's there. Are we human? Are we flawed? Do we have people celebrating things that certainly I don't agree with and are really repulsive to me, and what I was taught, and what my faith has also taught me? So I would say to everyone, do not fear to hope. Do not fear. Don't fear. Don't be fearful. There's a real resiliency in the American people, and we have to call it up. It's not about counting on somebody else. You got to get yourself straightened out first, and say, I'm not for this, and I'm going to do something about it, whatever it might be, And I think it's frightening, it's chilling, because there's so much that is tearing away at all of the strong fibers of our democracy. But this is a government by the people and for the people. And we have to work hard to restore that. And I know that next year is not a source of comfort to you, but it's not that far away. And we need to win the midterm elections. That will pull up a huge emergency brake on all of it, And I'm not saying that we're going to sit in rocking chairs until then. Everyone is going to have an opportunity to be a part of that in some way, shape, or form. And I hold great hope out for that. And there's a lot of negativity now. People keep repeating all the awful things that are going on. And I think, for myself, I don't want to listen to all these talking heads. I just can't stand it. And I don't want this guy in the White House to be in my head all the time, N-O, you're not coming to my home. Yeah. But we can do this. And we must do it. And my parents came to the United States as children. They remembered the journey, so they were not infants. It was not easy for them to come to the United States. But it was a family on both sides that were deeply faith-filled, which is such a beautiful thing, because that is, that's the lens through which they viewed everything. And my grandmother lived with us, my father's mother. She was the real matriarch. And she had terrible arthritis. But when I would walk past her bedroom in the morning, she would be kneeling to say her prayers. and she would always bend over with great difficulty to kiss the ground. And I'd say, Nana, why do you do that? And she said, to thank God for the blessing of this country. So I'm not going to forsake that. And I don't think you are either. I know that you're not. It's painful to go through this because it's painful. It causes pain to people. And for those that, where these awful things are not going to touch us in our lives, but it is in others. It is in others. And, but we're going to come through this. We're going to come through this. We are going to come through this. I'm not saying it because I'm trying to make you feel good. I believe it. And because there's so much of this is a house of cards. It's a house of cards. And it's not in the DNA of the American people. You know what I was thinking about, what I thought of last night? All of this attacking of DEI. And it's like for a moment I just kind of stepped back. The 3 letters DEI stand for, in Latin, of God. Remember that.
All right. So do the work, tell your story, don't fear to hope, because America is worth it.
That's right. You got it.
Congresswoman
You got it.
Eshoo, thank you so much.